I tried going camping recently with only things I could find at a thrift store. Here's what I found: blanket, mattress bag, sheet, shirt, pants, pot, bandanas, spoon, belt, shoes, only sharp thing I could find, and I brought underwear, socks, and rope from home. For food, I just brought a few things I found at the gas station. I took everything and I wrapped it up in the blanket and then used the rope to hold it all together. The sheet I used as backpack straps. Then it was time to see if I could actually last for a day with just stuff that I bought from the thrift store. So I set off on the trail and hiked to my camping spot. After a short hike, I got to my camping spot to set up camp. I had to do a little bit of a shake to get out of my pack, and here's that same shake sped up. First step was to test out the mattress bag that I would use for a tarp. I wrapped a rock in the tarp and tied the rope around it and then tied it up to the tree. And here you can see, pretty much did the same thing, just tied a knot, bandana with rocks on it. This will form basis for my tarp where I'm trying to sleep tonight. Hopefully that's enough space. Now I can just swing it out over here. Here's what the final setup looked like. Got my bandanas holding the rocks and got the tarp stretched out here. There were no water filters at the store, so I'm boiling creek water to get rehydrated. The process to make drinking water is slow since you have to bring the water to a boil and then wait for the water to cool down before you can drink it. Just sitting looking at this water, waiting for it to cool down. Even though the water was still pretty hot, I was happy to finally get a drink to start getting rehydrated. The spatula was the only thing I could find in the store with a sharp enough edge to actually be useful, so I'm using this to make some chopsticks for dinner. I got more water and started boiling it for my dinner. Tonight I'm having one of my favorites, which is ramen with peanuts. It is not as easy to make while you're trying to hold a phone in one hand and make the dinner in the other, but I still was able to get it done. This particular brand is now my most favorite when it comes to trail dinners, but it was still pretty good, definitely enough to get me full. I just poured in my boiling water, waited for a few minutes for it all to cook, and then it was ready to go. And here is the finished product. Dig in. Here's my noodles with peanuts in them and my chopsticks that I made. And everything turned out pretty good. It was a little bit sweeter than I like. And now here I am getting set up, ready for bed. I didn't get any pictures of the fireflies, but there were plenty of spiders and slugs crawling over me all night. So here you can see a spider. Here's one of the slugs that was crawling all over me. But here's some of the green stains they made all over my sleeping area. So other than that, it wasn't too bad. I drank the rest of my water from the day before and started to break down camp. The tarp was still in pretty good shape. It didn't tear at all, although I will say it was a pretty calm evening. The blanket was plenty warm for this part of the country. I wasn't cold at all in it. And other than all the bug and slugs, goo all over it, it was perfectly fine. I will say that the ground cloth was a little bit more absorbent than I wanted. It soaked up a lot of water, which then of course transferred to me and my blanket. But it was actually really good for the backpack straps, so all in all I would say it was pretty helpful. So here's my review for the gear that I got and whether or not I'd use it again on another trip. So first up is the blanket. The blanket I actually really loved. It was plenty warm for the amount of time that I was using it. The mattress bag was okay. Using the rocks to set it up actually wasn't that bad, and it seemed like it was plenty durable, but it was 2-ply, which kind of made it a pain to roll up because it kept getting air pockets in it. I guess you could like crawl inside of it and sleep if you really wanted to, but it was okay. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't terrible for sure. The sheet was pretty good. It was a little bit too absorbent, but other than that, it made good straps. I got a polyester shirt because I was worried about weather, but it was so hot and humid that it wasn't very breathable. I don't know if I'd go with this exact shirt again. I'd probably look for something like a 60-40 blend. It was okay. Also, it's kind of ugly. Pants were too big and also too short. But other than that, the fabric was fine. They're fine. The pot was great. It was definitely way too heavy for a normal backpacking trip, but for what I was using it for, it was okay. Bandanas definitely never let me down. These things are some of the most useful gear I take with me on every trip. I didn't even use this spoon, and I even ate soup, so I definitely wouldn't bring this again. I got these shoes, and I didn't break them in or anything beforehand, and they actually were okay, but I definitely would recommend if you're going backpacking to have good fitting shoes that you've broken in. Buying some from the thrift store the day before is definitely not ideal. I really wanted to love the spatula, but having only the front part of it being sharp was not ideal. Maybe I'll take it on another trip and sharpen up one of the other edges of the spatula. That way I could use it to chop. I actually think it would be pretty handy then. And maybe even just as a concept for another knife sometime, I'll make a machete that kind of has a similar setup. I think it actually could be really useful, but as it was just okay. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching. This trip was a lot of fun. It was an experiment I've been thinking about for a while. I think it was a little bit easier than I hoped, but all in all, still a good time, and it's always a good time when you can get outside for a day or two. So have a good one.